Hi friends, welcome to Plants and Prosecco. My name is Melissa. So today I want to talk about garden maintenance. So, this is the time of year when we're trying to get back into the swing of things. We're trying to get ahead of things like weeding, things like pruning, mulching, all of those things. And, a lot of times as we get into the summer and life gets busy or it gets hot or any of those things at all start to fall apart. And so I wanted to start the season really organized and thought I would share with you how I do that and how you can adapt this system to your garden. So I use a method of garden maintenance called zoning. And I learned that from Laura at Garden Answer, and I will link her original video down below for you so you can go watch hers. She gardens about 5 acres and she gardens for a living. So I wanted to take her method, which is a great method, and she explains it so well and is not doing anything on her property that will be tremendously different from this, except that she has a partner that helps. She has a maintenance guy that works on her property, and I just do this all myself. And there may be others of you that are like that too. So to start zoning, the first thing you need is an overhead map of your property. So that is what this is. So I just went to Google Maps, did the aerial view, and then I did a screenshot of just our lot. So this is the road we live on. We actually live on a corner lot, so this is the cross street. And then all these little colorful parts are my garden beds. So once you have this map, the next thing you want to do is you want to go through and identify where all your garden beds are. So I recommend you do that with a pencil or a pen, something in neutral color that you can go back over with a marker or a highlighter. And once you have all of your garden beds divided, or not divided, identified, then you're going to divide them. So the reason for that is the idea behind zoning is that you tackle a zone a day. It breaks your garden up into manageable chunks that you do just a little bit every day. And because of that, makes it so that you're organized, you're maintaining, and you're not spending near as much time in the garden doing the stuff that's not fun. You can just enjoy your garden. So the way that I do mine, so everybody's going to be a little bit different. You may have you may not be available on Wednesday and Thursday. So when you zone your stuff out, you may have to zone a little heavier than I zoned on certain days. The way that I do it is I happen to have kind of enough sections in my garden where I can basically kind of tackle 2 beds a day. And I pick one bed that's high maintenance and one bed that's low maintenance, because then it all kind of evens out in the amount of time I have to spend. So I'll give you an example. So this right here is a new garden bed that just went in the fall. That's around our maple tree. Those plants are really new. They're still requiring a little bit more attention, upkeep, weeding. I'm still working on getting the weeds out of that bed. So we spend a lot more time. It used to have grass there, so we spend a lot more time kind of weeding this bed. This is our terrace that has been there for several years. It's very well established. I pick the occasional weed out of there, but it's really not that high maintenance. So I combine these two because overall they're going to be about the same amount of work. So that's my tip for how I zoned. You're going to look at your schedule and you're going to zone however is easiest for you. So the next tip, and this is going to be an important tip if you're a control freak, if you're a perfectionist, if you're any kind of I need to do it and I need to do it all right now, set a timer. And this is so important for stress management when it comes to garden. I want to go out, I want to garden. I even enjoy the maintenance part a little bit, but I do hit a wall just like everybody else. If you go out and your garden bed's covered in weeds and you're going on your 2nd hour weeding and you're like, it's not done, I just want it to be done, I need to keep going, you're not going to enjoy your garden. You're not going to enjoy gardening. You're going to burn yourself out faster. So what I do, I actually use this plan as my decompress at the end of the day after I get out of work. So 5:30, I pull my sheet out, I look at what zone I'm supposed to be working on for the day, and I go out and I do that zone and I set a timer for an hour. And whatever gets done in that section in an hour is what gets done in that section for the week. because this is meant to be a weekly maintenance schedule. And that might sound a little terrifying to you at first, but what you're going to realize after you do it for a week is that if if your bed was very weedy and you picked, say you made it 3/4 of the way, those 3/4 of the way weeds are not going to return next week. You're going to be able to go back in next week, finish what you started. You put it in a manageable chunk. You're going to clean out any new little sprouts that came up, but it's going to be much easier and much lower stress. And in the back of your brain, because you're following this schedule, that you're going to get to it. You're going to have eyes on it. It's on your radar. It doesn't have to get done right this second. And that's going to make this so much easier for you. So once you've got it zoned, you've got everything. I have my little color codes down here. So each of these is a day. It tells me which beds are here, which color. Once you've got that done, you're going to need some tools. So what I bring with me and what this schedule does for me, I lay eyes on everything. So I always do a walkthrough. I take a look at what the whole section looks like, so I know exactly what needs to be done. I bring with me some gloves, some pruners, and then this handy dandy tool, which every gardener needs. It's called a cobra, and you can see kind of why it's called that, because it looks like a snake head. And it's not sharp like it's gonna cut you, but it's sharp in the way that it digs in the ground. And so you get in the ground, you get up under a weed, and you pull it out by the roots. And this thing, man, will save you so much time and so much effort, and it'll make it so much easier on your body. So I will link that down below if you want to check that out. They have little ones for like kids. So if you want to get your kids involved in the gardening, they have smaller ones of these that are made for smaller hands that are awesome too. I'll link that. If I can find that one, I'll link it down below too, because it's pretty cool. But yeah, so this is the tool I bring with me. In addition to my pruners, I bring, if I know I've got concrete, I'll bring a knee pad with me just so that I'm not kneeling directly in the concrete. A lot of times in the summer I wear shorts, and so I don't want to put my knees directly in the concrete if I can help it. And then the last thing I'll bring with me is something to put yard waste in. So this is a pop-up bag. You can get kangaroo pop-up bags. You could use a bucket, you could use a tarp, you can use a wheelbarrow, an empty planter, anything you have lying around. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it just makes it easier if what you have is portable, so you can carry it away when you're done. So once you have all your tools gathered, you're ready to start. So I actually picked today as Wednesday. So for me, that is the section of my garden that is this kind of yellowy orange color. So it's our pathway right here. It's this little bit of garden bed that goes along the front of our house. So it's basically everything in the front of our house, which includes our mailbox. So that's all right here. And the reason I picked Wednesday is for the exact reason that I told you to set a timer. So we have a really big problem with wild violet here, and I'll show you what that looks like because there's still some left. I did not make it through this whole bed last week because I was digging so much violet out. And when I hit that hour, I felt so accomplished. I had gotten so much done, and I knew that this week I would make it back to there. So let's go walk this garden bed. I will show you how I assess. I will show you, me doing the maintenance so you can kind of see what I do. And then we will finish up kind of with a little bit of a summary, and hopefully this is a thing that'll be helpful. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I do is I'm gonna take a look at what is going on in this garden bed, make sure all the plants look healthy, check for plants, or check for damage, check for disease, check for any of that, just to kind of assess what needs to be done. So I can see some weeds. There's a lot of Bermuda in here that needs to come up, so the Cobra really helps with that. Let me see, I can take you guys with me here. So you can kind of see one of the things I did last week was I started cleaning up the tulips. So some of these tulips are already starting to die back, and so I can go in and clean them up even more as they die back, which is nice. You can see there's weeds. This is all, my shadow's in there a little bit. This is all Bermuda that needs to come out. And then for the most part, everything's just kind of in growth mode. So I don't see anything here that needs to be pruned. I might clean up the tulips a little bit, but for the most part, we're just looking at all these weeds, and we will get that all cleaned up and out of here, and that's going to be it for the mailbox. The mailbox is my low maintenance part of this, so. Okay, so I got this section mostly done. I didn't get quite all of there's still a lot of Bermuda around here. I got, most of it, and I got all the weeds and stuff out took a look at all the plants, cleaned up the tulips a little bit. I really want to prioritize the second half of the bigger bed up here, which is why I'm not going to spend too much time dwelling on that. It'll get done when it gets done. I'm not concerned about it. But so this part of the zone is done. Let's go to the next part. So last week, you'll see, this is our pathway. So the next zone that we have goes from this rose bush, this pathway, and then right there to the corner of the house. So this rose bush right here, we're just going to kind of take a look at everything first. So I like to just kind of monitor. So the rose bush looks good. It's just started blooming, so I don't need to do any kind of, deadheading or pruning on it yet. Sometimes as we get later in the season, it starts to get out here and it gets close to the cars, so I'll prune it throughout the season. I do see under here that there's just a few little weeds that I'll come in that I may have missed last week or that have popped up in the last week, and I'll pull those out. Now I made it, so this is the corner. I made it last week all the way to here, so you can see the difference. So if you look down this way, I can tell there's still some weeds in here that need to be pulled out, so I'll go through and do a quick cleanup of what I did last week, but you can definitely tell the difference. So I made it to here, and then you can see all of this right here is that wild violet. So this is what I'm trying to pull out of here. You can see how much better this looks down this way. So this is what my priority is today, is to at the very least get to the end by the bird feeder. Looking over here, there's some of that violet in my oxalis, so I want to clean that out. There's a lot of weeds and stuff that need to get pulled out here. These are all bulbs, and at this point they're kind of mixed with weeds, so I'll pull out what I know are weeds. I think a lot of these might be bulbs, and a couple times this season I just take the weed whacker down on those. This bush has not started blooming yet. It's got lots of new growth. Doesn't need to be deadheaded or anything. The hydrangeas actually already been pruned. That was a video. I can link that down below if you would like to know how you prune an old wood blooming type of hydrangea. So that's that. And then the rest of this bed, so this is our bird bath, and then I've got some daylilies here that look really good. They don't need anything done. The hellebores still look pretty good. You'll see there's some more of that violet underneath here. A lot of this is just going to be weeding today, so you can see down by my primrose there's a bunch of weeds. Definitely a lot of weeds over here, and then this zone ends here. So this whole section is a different zone, and that whole section is a different zone. That is tomorrow's zone. So, no matter what I do, I would stop here. So let's go get this set up and get this area tackled. All right, so I didn't make it to this area over here. I've got to go do some stuff down at our garden plot that we run at the local park. But I did finish the path, which makes me feel really good because I look at this and it makes me so happy. You can see weed free for the most part all the way down. I did take the blower and we have, just gave it a quick blow up. I can tell right here, there's a couple that I missed, but like I said, those will be next week. It'll be fine. They'll still be here. And then hopefully next week, I did kind of clean this out, but hopefully next week I'll be able to dig in here a little bit more and clean all this out. maybe clean up some of these bulbs a little bit, trim them back, and then work my way that way with the weeds. So, all right, friends, that's going to do it for me today. Hopefully this was helpful, and I hope that the zoning, thing can help make gardening a little bit easier for you this year. Please comment below with anything that you have questions on or any suggestions for what, might might streamline this process, or what you do in your garden that also helps. So I'd love to hear it. But until then, I'll see you next time. Bye.